Well, let's take a look at the pick of bands, and then Flea, let's hear what you have to say about what we see here. Here are the maps: Molten Falls, Corrupted Keep, and Blood Covenant coming out for the Decider. What do you think?
I mean, interesting start right off the bat. Rapha playing the Scale Bearer. You'll love to see it. He's a man who knows his way around every single champion in the pool, but there's a few that really stand out to him. And watching him get it on with one of the heavy champions, I mean, it truly is a sight to behold. Dooi, on the other hand, playing a bit more standard pick, the Ranger. Map 2 will be Corrupted Keep, another map that Rapha is extremely strong on, running the Sorlag versus the Strogg. And then finally, the Decider, if we get to it, will be Nyx versus Doomslayer.
And you know, you mentioned like if we get to it, anyone want to throw out a prediction here?
I mean, I think the safe bet is the 2-0 to Rapha. Dooi has the potential to maybe take a map, but I do not think a victory over Rapha is likely. I strongly believe that of all the players in the Americas, like surely Rapha has to be one.
I mean, with that being said, Ketchup, it is, you know, is the performance from Rapha what we need to see to be able to answer the question, can he win this weekend?
I think Rapha will definitely need to be on top form to win this weekend, but he has to be, because a lot of the competition are playing out of their skin this weekend, and he has to be able to compete with that. But I'm confident he can.
All right, well, the games are about to get started, so we won't have to wait too long for that answer. And to help us find it, it's going to be ZSX and 40 Lions.
So we will be watching the last of the previous champions go up here, 40. But it has been a weekend of upsets. What is your take on whether Dooi can be one of the others to do an upset? As we have a first engagement here, so hold your thoughts. Not looking lucky off that sport.
And Rapha doesn't want to wait. There's no time to waste as the Sausage King of Chicago opens it up with a frag early on here. And Dooi has a huge mountain to climb right now.
You're going to have to explain that to me. I have no idea what anyone's talking about when they're talking about Sausage King and other stuff like that.
Maybe when you're older, son. No, it's it dates back to DreamHack a couple years ago, back in my day. But well, that's a story for another time. As Rapha trying to, God, that rail was incredible. I think
start from the big man, as Rapha has good control on all items so far. Obviously, Dooi got the very short end of the straw after the spawns, as he got bonked into the shotgun, but nevertheless, he will recoup. We know how proficient Dooi is on the defense. It won't phase him one bit. And we have seen in the past, to get back to the original discussion, Dooi actually posing some problems from Rapha. Yes, he's been stopped, but everyone's been stopped by Rapha, but he's also one of the fewer players that have pushed Rapha to the limit and taken maps off Rapha. So, in a weekend of upsets, Dooi is definitely in with a shout.
Yeah, I mean, Rapha, arguably one of the best Quake players of all time. Whether or not you want to add a couple names in there, of course, depends on who you talk to. But even within the confines of the QPL, he only dropped a map this stage. Not a game, a map. Everything else was a clean sweep. So Rapha, absolutely one of the best. Again, the fact that it's only 1-0 right now isn't Dewey's favor. He does like to play that hyper defensive. Although against the Scale Bearer, the Dire Orb should mostly be used as an escape, because if Rapha gets these items and he gets that big stack, you know he's going to bull rush in there. And the Orb doesn't do the damage it used to, so it's not going to help. You need to use it to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. And the Ranger holds good utility on Molten, as we talked about earlier with the Athena. Similarly, the rocket jump capability with the verticality comes in useful, and you have the same mobility with that orb. And as you say, the additional burst damage is often needed to take down a heavy champ, so it's often useful in that regard. And we're seeing Dooi play the keep away game very well so far. Nice chip damage, the rocket and rail combo, not direct, but still enough. But eating that rail sets him back once again, as Rapha stampeding around the map with both items on lockdown. And for me, I think Dooi definitely needs to try and do more damage around these pickups. As yes, he's doing good damage when Rapha's patrolling the map, but look at this. Absolutely uncontested.
Stopwatch. Yeah, these free items are not going to be in favor of Dooi at all. He needs to try and get some damage going. There's the bull rush. He's going to cancel into the wall. He doesn't want to go off of the map, so well done from Rapha there. But does bully him off the Mega yet again. So I like that rail. Unfortunately, right before the Mega pickup, so not that big of a change. But if Dooi can get these long-range rails and kind of open himself up to Dire Orb in after the chip, that would be fantastic. But again, Rapha cycling all the items on the map, making it so much harder on Dooi.
Yeah, the problem with this type of play style, though, and it's sometimes the problem that Dooi runs into, particularly against the best of the best, is that it is futile damage when you're playing smart. because Rapha knows when to commit, and otherwise he's just falling back onto items and rebuilding his stack. Like, we haven't seen him drop below 100, 150 effective health and armor at all this map so far. And he is stampeding in, steals the light on the way. Why not? Drive by theft. That's got to feel bad, as Dooi has to back off once again without even taking a sniff of the pick of the item, and it is not looking good so far.
Not at all. Another good rail, but again, he backs off. He needs to start going for maybe 2 or 3 rails at a time instead of just one and falling back. The stack is just too massive for Rapha. We saw earlier Dooi using that die orb to get out and get out of the way of the bull rush, and that's all you really can do in that situation, because again, he's not keeping Rapha low enough to use it for that burst damage.
Exactly. He is in position to see the heavy. At least he gets a sight of item. That's something that he hasn't had for a while.
I haven't seen this in years.
But it's yeah, it's very passive from Dooi, and I'm never a fan of playing passive. There's definitely a difference between being passive and defensive, because if you're defensive, you're making yourself felt in and around the items, but you can see that Rapha is just moving unimpeded at this point in time. This is Rapha's territory. He's dictating where and when he wants to take the fights, and he's also got a big beefy stack to play with, so he can hard commit, as he will do here. Dooi misses the shot, gets away with the orb, but he doesn't actually get away with his life.
Just a slight skosh of machine gun there, peppering him down, and that's going to leave Dooi a little salty. And I think that's the perfect way to put it, as you said. He's more passive than defensive. His presence isn't well known on the map at all. Rapha just having his way with all these items, all these frags. Again, Dooi does hit these chip rails here, but he can't follow up when he needs to, can't get away. Rapha will find him 5-0 at the midway point.
Yeah, but it's crushing. We're kind of delaying the inevitable at this point in time. Dooi's making no progressive moves to get back into this game, and it doesn't feel like he's got a strategy. He has whittled down Rapha's stack, but for how long? Rapha's going to turn around, pick up the light, pick up the mega, and he's already back to pretty much where he was at the start of the fight, whereas Dooi doesn't have any weaponry to work with. Might try and hit a rail on the escape, but can't even get on this light as Rapha's already there to pin it down, and this is Rapha at his finest, controlling all the items, and it feels bad, man, for Dooi, if I'm honest, as he gets caught. The orb goes through Rapha, but Rapha goes through Dooi.
2 shotgun blasts into the shoulder check, and Dooi gets leveled. 7-0, and the onslaught won't stop as Rapha. You could tell he wants this belt. I don't think anything is going to stop him here. This is just another day in the office for Rapha. What a rail through the telly there.
This is looking good for Rapha's chances. I'm not going to lie.
I think that was the first item in 6 minutes, it feels like.
I think it's the first item of the game, because remember the spawn, he just got bullied. Don't have the ability to check, I'm afraid. Dooi actually getting close to a frag. Come on, this G up Dooi. He needs a bit of support right now.
Chat, let's show Dooi some energy, and let's see if he can Dooi it. And there it is, the dire orb into shotgun play. That's going to be a good start. A lot of work to do.
But look who's back. Daddy's back.
Oh, yeah, the big boy comes in and gets that refrag immediately. Rapha knows that he doesn't want to give Dooi anything to work with. He is going to get caught out. Backs away. Still hangs in for the rail, but the machine gun can't connect for Dooi. There's the bull rush.
No
and he follow up with
way.
the rocket, and he does. Dooi somehow fumbles his own rockets and can't get that frag. 10-1 for Rapha.
What a rocket as well. Dooi's pretty stuck. And this is the kind of positioning Dooi should have been in when Rapha was taking these items. I kind of understand the intimidation factor coming out and that Dooi felt vulnerable, but at the end of the day, you have to be more proactive than unfortunately Dooi was in the early stages of the map, because you are just delaying the inevitable. And it's a playstyle that preys on the mistakes of your enemies, of your opponents. And do you really think Rapha, is going to be that type of player to make these mistakes? So yes, it's always going to be a tough ask, but you have to take more risks than Dooi did in the initial engagements.
Absolutely, and dropping down with that rail was not one of the risks you wanted. I don't know if that was on purpose, but that led to yet another frag for Rapha, 11-2, and he set the pace. I mean, 8 seconds in, getting the first frag, that is quick on a Molten here. As Dooi trying to make something happen, doesn't have a choice, eats a rocket through the doorway, he's gonna have to push in with LG, and somehow makes it work, 13 HP. But, you know, you glance at the time and it's just too little too late.
Yeah, there's not time. There is not time. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not going to pretend there's time.
There's still time.
This is a dust yourself off, change your panties, and go again next time.
This is a start thinking about map number 2 as Dooi goes towards the heavens, Dire Orbs back into the map, hits another great rail. Can he finish it off? And he can't, unfortunately, but that was quite the showing there from Dooi. Never say die. Even though this map is kind of done and dusted, he needs to keep his head in the game. It's best of 3, still has an opportunity. He got off to a rocky start against Rapha, and that's the last thing you want to do against a player of this caliber, but going into map number 2, it's got to be a fresh start.
I think that was the fastest frag I've ever seen in Great Pro League.
I think so. And that was a beautiful 2-piece there by Rapha. As he, again, look at this. It doesn't matter how far ahead he is. Rapha doesn't want to... Oh man, the onslaught.
Dude, he just wants to survive. He just wants to get away without giving away frags, and he can't. Rapha's not even going to let him.
The thing that I love about Rapha is, again, even though he has the lead, there's 20 seconds left, he's playing as if he's behind. This is all practice for him. Whether it's an actual practice game, an actual match, LAN, online, it doesn't matter. He's playing every scenario in case it ever comes up. He's getting all the reps, maximizing his practice, and as the final seconds tick away, 15-3 looks like it's going to be the final score on the first map. That's a huge, huge start for Rapha. Oh my god, never mind, 16-3. Puts the stamp on it.
Just a little bit. That was not a good game for Dooi. Very good showing for Rapha.
Those items, 3 heavies, 2 megas for Dooi.
Rapha looked a teeny bit rusty yesterday. Definitely has shaken that off today and looks pristine.
Yeah, that was just a strong showing from Rapha. And again, I really think Dooi just got off on the wrong foot. Look at this, 8 seconds in. 8 seconds getting caught off guard, first frag, and that set the tone for the entire map. Very unfortunate for Dooi. But again, he's got to bounce back. I mean, as you mentioned before, he played a little bit too passive. It wasn't even the defensive Dooi that we usually see. His presence was unknown on the map.
Yeah, there was at no point in that game where you felt that Dooi was ever going to get back into the game whatsoever. Pure domination from Rapha from start to finish. And yes, he got off to the worst possible start in history, but even after that, it just felt way too passive from Dooi to even attempt to get back into it. So it needs to be a rethink of strategy and how he wants to approach it, because we have seen that Dooi has the ability to go more offensive and push the limits. So I want to be seeing more of that, let's be honest.
In terms of the stacks on these champs, it looks like we're going to get a Sorlag from Rapha and a Strog from Dooi. So he has going to have mobility, but Rapha's also going to have mobility and stack. So again, that refrag that we've mentioned time and time again, the ability to refrag with the heavy champions is huge, especially with Strog. If he starts with the starting shotgun or gets SSG, he could just get up in there, spit, one shotgun blast could be the refrag, and that could be the difference here.
Yeah, it is scary. I do like the Strog though, and with the additional burst potential, similarly to the Ranger, you can just shock and awe your opponents. But the speed of Sorlag is also something to be wary of, and as you say, getting back in the refrag, I just think the pressure once again will be unrelenting from Rapha. I just don't see how Dooi changes it that much.
We're going to see. I think it was catch-up, and probably the whole panel said 2-0 in favor of Rapha. It might be that way. We'll see if the Outlaw is going to be on the run, and if the Professor has one last lesson for this series, or if Dooi can pull it to a third map.
I'm going to stick with 2-0 as well, I'm afraid. I'm going to be boring in this one.
I think that's the safe bet if you were a betting man. I don't blame you at all, but Dooi has surprised us before and can do it again. It's just going to be very, very tough here as we're going to go live on map number 2, Corrupted Keep between Rapha and Dooi. Starting off on Rapha, it looks like here as we get, wow, he gets the rocket spawn on the Sorlag. If he wanted to, he could have just played that super aggressive with the spit and the rockets, but opting not to. Although still could catch him out. There's a shotgun blast. There's another one. The peeker comes out. This is very dangerous.
Yeah, I was going to say, just leave the peeker up and go for your opponent. Like, he's a Sorlag. He can tank it. And dooi will already go down twice in the first 20 seconds. Does a fair bit of damage. But the Mega will be up in a second, and rapha's still pretty healthy with all the weapons to defend it. He will just listen out to where dooi goes, and dooi doesn't even want to commit. He's too late for that item. Rapha will let him get away with a heavy, but what can you do? You can't complain with a 2-frag lead within 25 seconds.
Yeah, great start again for Rapha. Dooi trying to make that shotgun work. The shoddy Pippin will fail him for now, as the Rapha stack is just too big. Trying to work his way around the corner. There's some good damage, good information at the very least, as Rapha doing a good job of denying these 50 shards as well. Mega is going to be up. It looks like he's going to opt to go for the heavy instead. Look at that machine gun damage.
Yeah, dooi just wanted to check where his opponent was and took 60 damage for it. The effectiveness and efficiency from Rapha is through the roof. dooi has got a nice little stack to work with and wants to push the issue here, going in aggressive. Fortunately falling off though. Probably the good thing that he fell off, otherwise Rapha was perfectly set up for that engagement.
Pac-manning those 50 shards is Rapha keeping that thick lizard to stack sky high. Raining down damage with that machine gun, getting a lot of mileage out of it, as he should. Heavy machine gun on this map is absolutely fantastic. Even starting is fine. Just something, since there's no railgun, to keep that damage up at long distances here. As the fight through the doorway breaks out, again another 50 for Rapha, just denying everything from dooi.
Yeah, but to your point, it should be dooi as the player working with that range damage, working with that heavy machine gun, but in fact it's Rapha, so he's just whittling down the stack of an opponent that's already less than him, opening up more opportunities for him to go aggressive. But at the minute he's playing it a little bit more standoffish, but he has caught dooi here over the jump pad. It will be another frag. Question is, how much damage can dooi do? It is a lot. And there are no major items up, so dooi will spawn with a decent stack. He hasn't got any weaponry to work with. Fighting in the choke point's not a good idea, dooi.
Almost got him with the peeker though, with the follow-up. dooi forcing his hand. He wants to make something happen.
Stopwatch.
As he grabs the Mega. But
The saving grace for dooi at the minute is the fact those items are still synced up, because it always gives him a lifeline to fall back on, as Rapha's happy to trade, but Rapha's beginning to catch dooi off guard. He's making the better positional choices. We saw off the spawn that dooi had an opportunity to damage. Being outmaneuvered by Rapha.
Minutes in at 4-0 now. As dooi gets caught above the boneyard again, trying to utilize that peeker here. Bit comes out. Dooi needs to be super careful. He does get the frag, but can he get some health? And he's going to be okay, negating that spit and trying to go for a little damage off the spawn. Needs to be careful not to overextend. Needs to stay alive right now more than anything.
Exactly, and as you mentioned at the very start, the refrag from the Sorlag is there, and you can see Rapha putting the pressure on. He's picked up the rocket. dooi backs off to the Mega, so there is an exchange in items. But Rapha's already got everything he needs to take this engagement. He's caught dooi down the low ground. The peeker is good, but it's not good enough. The stack with Sorlag is too great, and Rapha extends his lead to 4.
And the peeker plays aren't necessarily bad, as you said, but again, the stack differential is too much. If that was medium on medium, that probably would have been a frag in doi's favor, but Sorlag is thick. Sorbet is beefy, and you need to be careful and account for those stack differentials.
You do indeed, but it is so difficult on a map like Corrupt to keep where you can just force the issue, and that's exactly what Rapha's doing. That's a good rocket by dooi there. He could catch Rapha out here, but Rapha smartly doesn't progress. dooi hope to catch him in the choke point, but Rapha is once again steps ahead of his opponent.
Great switch to the shotgun there. I think he heard that armor pickup. Oh no, and there's an LG kill. Rather easy. That was a layup. 7-1 for Rapha now. Just extending the lead, looking more and more dire for dooi every second. Trying to stay alive around that pole there. So Rapha is, again, just going to default to the items. He has the split that he needs. Good rocket from dooi to try and keep him out. The spit goes down in case dooi gets a little bit aggressive and goes for it, but he can't. He has to concede.
5-minute warning.
5 minutes gone in this game, and once again, it's rapha in good control. It's not as commanding as in the first map, but even still, it does feel that dooi hasn't done enough. That's a good advance, but look how low dooi is still. He can't move out. rapha's just taking the health because of all that damage. He's also now got a split on the major items, making doi's life even harder if it wasn't hard enough.
This is just the pain train right now. The Professor has turned into Professor Plum with a B because he is just laying the pipe right now. 8-1. dooi doesn't really have any ground to work with either, and he just keeps getting caught above that jump pad. I thought rapha was going to push in again with LG. But again, opts for items instead, just trying to starve dooi out of this map.
And rapha's happy with his position. He's even happy for let dooi to walk away with that heavy because he knows it can do so much damage from range and maintain position over by the Mega. dooi trying to make an effort to go in, and he even just peeks around the corner and he's eating damage. rapha is looking good today, 40.
Oh, yeah, he's just playing so well. dooi already weak, and the shotgun is going to take him out of the Rockets. 10-1. The spawn frag again in the red room, absolutely filling with blood. And again, no signs of stopping. rapha doesn't stop playing until 10 minutes are on the board.
Once again, just calculated as well. It doesn't become sloppy, even though he is so far ahead. He's might go down here as that peak actually did a lot more damage than I think rapha expected as well. doi's in with a good chance to even at least get a frag.
It's a really fortunate position because he got right behind that wall, and since he crouches during the peeker animation, he was kind of safe, and rapha was like, oh, I can't actually hit you. This is interesting.
Let's feel that it's going to be a little bit too late. 3 minutes to go. He needs to regain 9 frags. Well, he needs to not die to start with, which is always tough because rapha's already got the high ground over on this Mega. Interesting maneuver.
Tactical rocket jump for the health. Can't even take a machine gun on machine gun fight. Again, the stack for rapha too huge. Also has Mega Pac-Manning the mini armors there, raining down rockets. dooi has to back off, but at the same time, there's no time. He has to aggress as best he can, and he's just stuck in this terrible situation of I'm down 9 frags, I don't have items, I need to get in and try and get back in. It's all about the Hail Mary plays now.
Yeah, but we've seen a lot more proactiveness from dooi in this map as well. I mean, yes, the map requires it and forces it upon you, but at the end of the day, rapha has made the right decisions at every turn, and as per usual, he has
wow,
typical shotgun shenanigans.
Shotgun and peeker, sir. But yeah, good play from dooi there. With 2 minutes left, do you believe in miracles?
No.
Oh, do you believe in a thing called love then? We can chat about it later. 2 minutes left as dooi trying to make it rain here.
I am taking the dooi out of the world and saying this one is also a good game, and rapha will be progressing to the next stage.
I would be hard-pressed to argue against that here, as rapha looking so strong, the Team Liquid player, making sure that this is a 2-0 as he advances further and further. And this will be a berth into Championship Sunday for him.
It will be indeed, and with being the last champion standing in terms of previous belt victors, he's got to move to the top of the list now in terms of who's going to take home that belt. We obviously still have Cooler and Kilson in the lower bracket, but they will have to go up against one another, so there'll only be 2 remaining when it gets to that point, if they were indeed fortunate enough to get that far.
Really good machine gun work. Would have loved to see that earlier in the game. A little bit too late now, though, as rapha's just going to hang out in the boneyard, just trying not to give up frags. There's the spit, and wow, just melts him. Spit rocket combo and steals the Mega.
Oi!
Fantastic set of rockets from dooi right there.
At least he wins frag of the series.
That was beautiful. Even rapha hits him with the damn. Nice shot.
Alright, dooi showing signs of life with 30 seconds to go.
Okay, better late than never. Let's go. Still does have opportunity in the lower bracket. He can make a run.
Does.
But doi's not completely out of it. He shouldn't feel too defeated. I mean, it is rapha, again, one of the best players in all of Quake. especially in the NA region for QPL only dropping a map. So we kind of got the ending we expected. I know most of the panel, if not all of them, said 2-0 in favor of Rapha. That's exactly what we got. But dooi, again, still has a last chance to run through the lower bracket.
He does indeed. It was a very tough series for dooi, unfortunately, and Rapha just purely and simply outclassing him. dooi, a very consistent performer, and as you say, has a second chance to go into the lower bracket, which we'll have to witness later today. For now, though, we will go to a break and break down that game afterwards, so stay tuned for more Quake World Championship coming up later.